The Director General of the National Agency for the Prohibition of Trafficking in Persons, Mrs. Julie Oka, is appealing to the state government to provide adequate rehabilitation facility and care for Libyan returnees. Speaking at a news conference in Abuja, she says that their rehabilitation is key to helping them contribute their own quota to the nation's development. She stressed that any state that is interested in rehabilitation and reuniting the returnees must observe the minimum international standards for caring for them.
I would like to state clearly that the welfare of these returnees, especially the victims of human trafficking amongst them, are taken care of. Our intention is to work with other stakeholders to ensure that the directives of Mr. President concerning their rehabilitation are carried out. For this reason, I wish to appeal to states that are already mounting pressure on the operations in Port Harcourt to take away their indigents, to ensure that those they are taking away are properly rehabilitated, as releasing them into the streets without rehabilitation and other forms of assistance may spell doom for the country and damage the image of the country. Many of these people are coming straight from prisons and will require some debriefing and change of mindsets and orientation before being released into the society. NAPTIP insists that any state government that is interested in the rehabilitation and reunification of the returnees from their states must meet the minimum standards for sheltering, rehabilitation, and reunification of victims.
We're now being joined on the program by the Attorney General of Edo State, who is the chairperson of the State Anti-Trafficking Task Force, Professor Yinka Omorogbe. You're welcome to News Across Nigeria.
Thank you very much.
Now tell us the status of returnees from Libya received by the Edo State government at the moment.
Well, we have been receiving returnees from November up until date. We have received several batches from Lagos, and we have received 2 batches that have come in from the federal government from Port Harcourt. We have a very, very comprehensive returnee program, very, very comprehensive, and we think that people should know exactly what we are doing. It goes right from picking them up at the airport up until reintegrating and reassimilating them back into society after they have done a series of trainings and received a 3-month stipend from the Edo government. So it's very comprehensive in a nutshell.
Okay, but how does the state plan to reintegrate these returnees following calls from other states to take over the welfare of their own welfare?
Well, it's noteworthy to realize that Edo State started all this before the noise really came up. We started picking up our own people even before the CNN report, which was widely publicized. We started going once we heard that NEMA and IOM were working in Lagos. We'd pick up our people, welcome them at the airport first of all, escort them to their hotels in the morning, pick them up with buses provided by us, and take them to the accommodation that we had reserved for them. We have a place for them where they stay for a few days. A lot of them elect to go home as soon as they come to Edo, and they're allowed to do that after we have done our profiling, biometrics, medicals, counseling, and tests. They're allowed to go. We have all their details, and we're in contact with them regularly. When we call them in when it's time for payment of stipends. And at every month, we'll be calling them in. And also, we call and communicate with them to discuss the different training programs they're doing. At the same time, counseling is a background process that comes on as and when necessary. And of course, there is ongoing investigation at the same time. So we actually have a very, very comprehensive package, a 20-point package. And we're actually going to widely disseminate what we're doing because it is very, very clear that there's a lot of misinformation going around.
Okay, Professor Morogbe, some of these returnees have alleged poor treatments by camp officials. They have even held protests. Have you been able to address the recent issue?
Well, to put it into context, we have had about 20 batches so far, and we have had 1 incident that is being blown sky high. And that 1 incident comes from the FGN returnees from Port Harcourt, who happened to have come in without any money at all. The ones from Lagos come in with 41,000 each given to them by the IOM. The ones from Port Harcourt came without anything at all. Now, our stipend program does not commence immediately they come in. It commences after they have actually been profiled and they have opened bank accounts, because we want people who will be part of the formal sector. So it's not immediate. It comes in a few weeks later, and we call them in for that. But these people came into town. They were penniless. They didn't have anything. That was not part of what we were supposed to do. But we recognized that there was a need, and we stepped in and we fulfilled the need. What I think happened is that before we resolved that issue, some people had come around. We are very, very open in our rehabilitation process, and definitely there are always people from the press there. 1,000, it's not adequate. 1,000 is not enough for them to go if they're in Auchi or wherever or outside Benin. We recognize this, and so we went away and we gave them 5,000 naira each. So we did resolve the issue to everyone's satisfaction.
All right, well done. But how would you now describe the repatriation so far by the IOM when it was handling it until the federal government took over?
They're both handling it together at the same time, actually, because we picked two sets from Port Harcourt, and we picked one set that had come in from the IOM last week. And I'm aware that within the next few days, we're still going to get people from Port Harcourt and from Lagos. They are different. They are different. We're trying to evolve and adapt to meet the needs of the two different systems and the two different treatments that the returnees get at the onset. But for us, the treatment is uniform, and it goes all the way down to stipends and training and consistent contact with them.
All right, Professor Yinka Omorogbe, thank you very much for your time on News Across Nigeria. This is a program, the Attorney General of Edo State and Chairperson of the State Anti-Trafficking Task Force. Thanks a lot. The 2019 election timetable is out, and the game appears to have effectively begun. There are concerns, though, about the role of social media and the scary phenomenon of fake news in the Nigerian media landscape. The chairman of Channels Media Group, Mr. John Momo, has raised concerns over the irresponsible manner in which the social media is being used to pass news. Mr. Momo was the keynote speaker at a forum of the Nigerian Guild of Editors in Lagos, organized in collaboration with the United States Mission in Nigeria. He says that the 2019 elections gives a lot of concern so far, as long as social media is concerned, because the issues of falsehood still exists.
What is the future, though, for the Nigerian media? How do we transform creative ideas into innovative media products? How do we leverage on international partnerships for profitability? For those of us who've been in the broadcast industry for a decade or more, we know what we mean when we say the industry has been digitally disrupted.